Hey, FIBO friends and family, welcome to the FIBO Focus Podcast. I am Sarah Kiriconi, your host, and I am honored to present this monthly FIBO USA series. This informative and energetic podcast will feature trending topics in the industry and deliver educational insights combined with the stories of our invited industry experts and FIBO fam members. Welcome back to FIBO Focus. I'm your podcast host, Sarah Kiriconi. Today I have an exciting guest for you, Brian Dillman, the miha bodytec Managing Director of the Americas. Brian, thank you so much for being here on this podcast. I'm excited to introduce you, if you cannot tell already.
Thanks for having me. It's exciting to talk about. It's easy for me to have a platform like this to just talk is really cool. So thanks.
Our absolute pleasure. And I know you have a wealth of information to share. So I want to jump right into it and tell me a little bit about yourself, your role as managing director, and tell me about miha bodytec, because it's really an incredible and forward-thinking device that can be used for trainers, but also for end users looking to get fit.
So my background in health and fitness started, I was a competitive tennis player growing up, playing junior tennis, playing Division I college tennis at the University of Illinois. I played one professional tournament, earned $72 and realized that I was not going to be a professional tennis player. So then I actually went to work for Wilson Sporting Goods. So I've been in the sporting goods business. I worked for Power Plate. I worked in the bicycle business. And then most recently back into fitness as well. And I actually like to call it active wellness because I think fitness puts itself in a box, but active wellness to me is for everybody. It's a broader category.
I would love to just pause you there and then hear more about it, because I think that's a beautiful concept. And if you can share that a little bit deeper, because we start to think of fitness as this definition. Your terminology of active wellness, I love that. Can you expand that a little bit?
So I'm passionate about obesity and trying to get rid of obesity especially from the US, but worldwide it's such a big problem. And so to me, active wellness means everything from getting up out of your chair and walking across the floor to competing in a marathon or climbing a mountain. And one of the things that miha bodytec does is it helps people get back into activity. And what people need, especially today, is activity. And so walking, running, biking, but socialization along with that all kind of forms into this active wellness, which includes mind, body, nutrition. It takes the full compass. It's not just lifting weights in the gym.
I really appreciate that, because I agree. I think on a more well-being aspect that it encompasses and is an umbrella for so much more. And you mentioned about being so passionate to fight against obesity. Is there anything that drives that?
It's sad because I think it's one of those things that people need more education, but it's sad to see what's happening to America and what's happening with people that don't have good information on nutrition. They don't get up and be active, and they're negatively affecting the whole health cycle in the US. And there are things you can do to prevent it. And I think that's the biggest thing is it is preventable and it is curable if people are willing to be educated and are willing to try things a little bit differently.
Completely agree. What are some of your best sources for that information that you look to?
I look to the experts in the industry. I love where nutritionists and holistic healers are these days. And I think it really fits into new thinking. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about that category, or categorizing it that way, is thinking differently. And it's diet may play such an important role in that. Also activity, but also getting your mind in the right place. And I wish I could find a better place to get my mind in the right place, but it's a goal.
I think fitness leads right into that. And I know myself, when I work out and I'm moving my body, I'm eating well, my mindset is in a much more, I won't say perfect, but it's in a much more stable state for sure. It's something that we could all use a little bit more of these days. You talk about being forward thinking, and miha bodytec is beyond the word forward thinking. Tell me about this piece of technology, this brilliant piece of technology, and how it works, functions.
So, electric stim and STEM and TENS have been around for years, which is really using electric impulses to stimulate blood flow, muscle growth, and things like that. And so that's, if you've been athletic or if you've had injuries, those localized STEM have been out for years and years and years. So about 13 years ago, they took the idea of localized stim and created a whole body system of electromuscular stimulation. So what happens is you wear this black suit, you wear black functional underwear against your skin, and it's a special material that holds moisture. And then you wear a vest that has electrodes in it. You wear armbands, leg bands, and a band around your glutes. And all of those are connected to the vest through cables. And all of them have electrodes that are going to send impulses to the body. And so the machine itself, you can sends the impulse to the client while the client is active and activated. And so you're in a squat, you're in a lunge, you're doing curls, you're doing flies, you're doing yoga poses, you're doing any kind of thing you can think of to exercise, you can do with miha bodytec and EMS. So it sends an impulse to the suit, 4 seconds of impulse, 4 seconds off, 4 seconds on, 4 seconds off. It's always with a personal trainer, so you would never do this alone. And it's very safe and effective because there's no extra load on the body. So if you think about people getting back into fitness or back into wellness, you don't have to, you don't have the gym, the gym fright where I got to go to the gym and start lifting weights next to, Hulk. So it is very low impact on the body. It's an efficient workout. It's a 20-minute strength workout that's equivalent of 2.5 hours of HIIT training. And it also fits in a small space. You use about 6 square feet of space. And for personal trainers who think this might be interesting, there's a mobile version where you can actually take it to people's homes. And so we've got trainers all over the US right now that are running this as a personal business, and that's all they do. They've got 20 or 30 clients they see every week, 20 minutes of workout, see you again next week. So it's very time efficient and also efficient on the body and the muscles. You get about 90% muscle recruitment, which is another big benefit of the exercise, because even when you're trying to do HIIT training or high intensity, other types of things, you're never getting that much muscle recruitment per exercise. With miha bodytec, while you're engaged and doing your arm curls, 90% of your muscles are being used and effective. And the other thing is it's both fast twitch and slow twitch muscles. So it goes deep into the skeletal system as well.
And that's where it takes the 2-hour high intensity into 20 minutes because of the recruitment rate that is at 90%, correct?
Correct.
So it kind of amplifies and speeds up everything. I would imagine too that this is great for anybody, as you mentioned, getting back into fitness and they don't have that gym intimidation, which we talked about in one of our earlier podcast episodes. But it also, you can scale up at a gradual pace, I would imagine too. Is that correct?
So yeah, the clients for us are really anywhere from 18 to 80. And so and that's why the personal trainer is so critical to the exercise and the experience with EMS training, because the trainer is going to know if you're 80 and you're physically fit to train, but obviously you may be a little bit slower or need to rebuild some muscles that maybe you haven't used, they would customize the workout for that person. On the other hand, somebody that's healthy and active and vibrant at 35, the personal trainer is going to do something different for that. And you can also adjust each body part as you go along. So, I may be higher with the numbers on my glutes and my legs, or my upper body might be not as intense. You can also then change the overall intensity. And so what that does as you progress from, let's say, the very first day of EMS training through your journey, you're going to start with lower numbers and you're going to progress up. But every time the impulse comes to the body, it's still forcing muscle contraction and forcing increased blood flow and forcing the body to fight against that contraction. And that's where you get to that 90% muscle recruitment. Even if I'm only doing curls, I'm doing curls while my whole body is feeling those impulses. I should say, as you progress up, you can increase the intensity both in your arms and in the overall, and then you can also change exercises. And so there's a very good progression, and that's part of the training that comes along with EMS is learning how to do that really, really well.
I would guess too, you mentioned about changing up the exercises, that the trainer can also, it keeps variety. I think monotony is one of the biggest things that kicks us off of staying fit or working out. But being able to change up those exercises gives it a little bit of freshness. And I was going to ask as well, can you overwork an area?
So that's a great question. So on the overworking part, so that's why we recommend you can only do the strength training every 5 days. We recommend once a week, like every 7 for the first 6 weeks. And then after that, you can go to 5 days because you can overwork the body. And the body, so what happens with the body, like with any strength training, your creatine kinase level goes up through the roof and your muscles get those muscle tears and the muscle fiber breakdown. So one's going up, the other's going down. So you have to wait and build some recovery time in. A great example is one of our colleagues' father came and trained, and he's in his early 60s, really great shape, heck of a golfer. He came and trained, did a full 20-minute workout, felt great, like had endorphins and was feeling amazing. He went home and he lifted and he said, that was a mistake. So it is a tough workout. I mean, it's your toughest 20 minutes of the week. But then the nice thing about it is that's all you got to do that week for your strength training.
So I think that's fascinating. And what would you recommend then for a weekly regime for someone? Because if you're doing that, from what I'm hearing, say I'm a trainer and I'm going to implement using miha bodytec one day, the other 6 days, what does that look like for the individual? Is it cardiovascular? Is it something more recovery like yoga, myofascial?
Yes to all. But so that's the nice thing about it is, for a personal trainer or any type of trainer, whether they're in the wellness space or I think yoga Pilates has a great fit into here too. But yeah, do your strength training and then do your cardio, do your activities, go play tennis, go walk, go run. And then you get into your yoga, your Pilates and your other wellness. But the nice thing is you kind of mentally, once you do this, you kind of get into this, okay, strength is done for the week. Now I get to do all this other fun stuff.
I like that. And again, it adds a variety. You mentioned that it's interesting how integrative it is for yoga and Pilates. Can you expand on that more? I'm a yogi myself, so it's interesting and fascinating.
And so is our colleague's roommate, who is a certified yoga instructor. And so she's really gotten into this. So all the moves you can do with yoga, you can do with yoga and with the miha bodytec machine and EMS training, because it's all functional, right? It's all functional movement. And so some of the exercises they're starting to integrate into some advanced trainings. They're great and really great for the body, great for stretching as well. And so they really are enjoying that.
And I think if I were a trainer, I would see this as a huge marketability opportunity, because this is added value to your individual clientele. What would you recommend to, say, a personal trainer if they're thinking at home, is this something I can do, especially today where, we're social distancing and we really can only do one-on-one, there's no group fitness. What would you recommend to a personal trainer at home who's thinking this can be an added value or skill set?
The first thing to do is to try it. And I think so because of COVID, we've kind of focused on the Chicago area, and we've done some outreach to trainers in the Chicago area, and we've had some really good success opening some people's eyes. I think that's kind of the first thing is try it. And the nice thing is we do have trainers all over the country, because once you try it, and especially at the personal trainer level and people who have the certifications and are at that professional level, you totally get it. I mean, once you've done it once or twice, it's like, oh yeah, oh, I see what I can do. And then they start, then the head starts spinning and think, okay, I could actually create a business out of this. So there's 2 different classifications. We are FDA cleared. FDA cleared means we're cleared for exercise training, which is basically what we're doing. But the other nice thing about it is, just to touch on, the safety and the COVID safeness about it briefly, is it is one-on-one. It is time efficient, so you don't spend as much time with the individual. You can do it fully masked and gloved. All the equipment that we have that you wear is antimicrobial, and it's all fully washable. And we sterilize it every day after we're done with isopropanol 70% alcohol. So and then you can wipe down the machines in the other areas. So it is, and it's also, because it's so time efficient, you can keep people moving in and out. You can keep them flowing in one direction. We've got some colleagues that have put screens up and stuff. So it is very safe, which is another opportunity, because if you can, as gyms aren't open right now, what's a personal trainer to do? So this might be a real opportunity for them to, go to their clients' homes. You can do this out in the park as long as there's a place to plug it in. So there's a lot of flexibility with it.
As far as you mentioned that you have trainers all over the country, do you have a resource on your site that you can share? Is that a listing?
There's a website, and I can send you the link to it. It's beafirstmover.us. And on there you can sign up for a demo, and we will get a trainer to you and hook you up with somebody. And if not, then we'll find a way for you to try it.
And for listeners, we will add that link below in the podcast, so you can also resource and find that as well. As far as we already talked about with the safety, and I think that's a really great selling point too, that it is antimicrobial, because that is, like you mentioned, gyms are slowly opening, but the biggest concern is they need to be wiped down. It needs to be sterile. So I think that that's a great tip. Why do you need a personal trainer in order to use the miha bodytec?
So go back to your earlier point, because you want to go through progressions. The personal trainer is there designed, number one, for safety. Number two, actually for fun, because it is a lot of fun to do it. But number three, it's to be able to adjust you, to make sure your movements are correct, to make sure you're performing your squats and your lunges correctly, so you can get the maximum out of it. The final thing, though, is frankly, there's a safety concern that if you're not, or you turn it up too high, or you lose your focus, or you haven't been hydrated well enough, or you haven't eaten well enough. So there's a safety element, and that's why we do full certifications with all the trainers. They go through a full day of training with us, where you learn all the safety regulations, all the compliance regulations, and all that, which is all signed off on. So you then take that responsibility as a trainer.
For any trainer who is out there, do you do any online trainings at the moment, or is it all in person if they're looking to get involved?
We can do online trainings. You can't really do one without the machine, so that would be a struggle. But there's a partner third party called the Glucker College, which the name means nothing other than it's the name. But they do the official EMS licensing. And the next one coming up is August 1st and 2nd. It is virtual. There's 2 days, and it is NASM certified with 1.9 CEUs. So I mean, it's a legit certified class, and so that goes through the Glucker College.
And upcoming trainings for the fall and winter, do you have anything on the radar?
We have August 1st and 2nd, and I believe it's September 1st and 2nd are the next two Glucker colleges or EMS certifications. Perfect.
We will also link that below in the description. I think it's I want to go a little bit further in depth about, I understand, I tore my rotator cuff years ago, so I understand completely about the electrodes, but it was more so for healing rather than for triggering muscle growth. And without getting too biological, if you can maybe explain to myself or anyone listening saying, I love this idea, but I still maybe don't understand exactly how it works. Or what the difference is between.
Exactly why we want people to try it. There's just, if you've had stem and that it's kind of a buzzing, or it's it feels, I think it kind of tickles, but I mean, you feel that impulse come through, and the impulse can come through very lightly or very intensely depending on the settings. But I guess it's imagining just forcing your muscles to contract involuntarily. And that's why you get such an effective exercise and recruitment and, the efficiency of it. So, it's hard to say what it really truly is hard. And I'll give you an example. The friend of mine that I've known for 20 some years who said, hey, you got to come start this business in the US with us. He said, let me tell you about it over the phone. I said, it doesn't make any sense. I can't. And he was working for the company. So he couldn't explain it. He said, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like this. He said, get on a plane and come do it. So I flew to Munich and tried it, and it was pretty spectacular.
Do you have any transformational, I won't say stories because we're talking visuals here, but any transformations between someone before and after over what's the expected, period? Someone uses it for a month versus someone uses it for, do they need to use it for a year? When do they look to see results?
Typically you'll see results in 6 weeks. I can give you my story, which I've documented a little bit, but so I've had both my hips replaced. I had my second one replaced last July. July through January, did rehab. Since January, and I've done this religiously every week, I've lost about 32 pounds. Not specifically designed for a weight loss, but again, as you're training and retraining your muscles, and I because of my hips, I had been sedentary for a long time and not been able to exercise and train and things like that. So to me, it was a new lease on life. I feel like I'm a whole new person, and I'm, 3 babies smaller. So,
which is it's everything that you were talking about before, how you can gradually work your way back into it. And 6 weeks is quite fascinating and fairly quickly to see a lot of the results.
We've seen, a lot of the results. It's not about weight loss. It's actually about getting fitter. And so while you want to look at the scale and think, I look great, it's not about that. It's really about how do you feel and how do your clothes feel on you and how do you look in the mirror. And, you definitely see more definition. You definitely see tightening and toning are two big things that you start to see. And you'll see that after 5 or 6 weeks. And the thing is, once you get hooked, you continue to improve. And that's, again, why that personal trainer is so critical. Okay, I might have hit goal 1 after the first 6 weeks, which is, so my clothes aren't so tight. Well, now what's goal number 2? What's goal number 3? There's always more things you can achieve. And I think that's what's exciting about it as well.
Now, you're part of the Americas division for miha bodytec, but they are actually a German company and international, correct?
Correct. There's 2, founded just outside of Augsburg, Germany, which is just outside of Munich. There's 2 subsidiaries, one in the UK, one here. And then we've got about 35 distributors around the rest of the world.
What has been your experience working with FIBO as far as an event and I was overly impressed, so I'm a little biased, especially in Miami.
So I've done more trade shows in my life than you've probably, than most people have, just because I'm old. And I think the group from FIBO is some of the most professional, but also nicest people you'd ever want to work with. Accommodating, friendly, fun, but also just very, very professional. And that's kind of how we look around our business. Is everything we want to do at the pro level. And I definitely call them pros.
I could not have said it better myself. The words directly out of my mouth before you even put out professional. I was like, they're professional. And as are you. We're all in good company. Brian, thank you so much for your time, for discussing everything that miha bodytec. It's really a forward-thinking company in every way, and something that has a lot of fitness trainers, I think, at this moment spinning their wheels around. So thank you for your time and your expertise.
Absolutely. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the FIBO USA Focus Podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing from Brian Dillman, sharing with us the forward-thinking technology behind miha bodytec, making workouts more effective and safe for all, and a brilliant opportunity for fitness trainers looking to expand their skill set and client offerings. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the FIBO Focus Podcast and tell us what you'd like to hear about in the fitness industry. Who knows, maybe we'll interview one of your favorite industry pros next. You can stay up to date with everything about the podcast and our FIBO events by following on social media at FIBO USA. Thanks again, and keep an eye out for our episode dropping next month. This is your FIBO Focus Podcast host, Sarah Kiriconi, signing off. Stay fit and stay informed.